Hello?
Candles flicker where no one should be. Robed figures caught mid-ritual. Symbols burned into the floor like warnings.
Meu Deus, são três.
Whatever it is, it hides in the dark. And it always waits until nightfall. But this time, it was all caught on camera. A curious adventurer decided to explore an old, abandoned house, but what he found inside was far from ordinary. As he stepped into one of the rooms, he saw a rug flapping wildly on its own. Strange. But what came next was even stranger. Right in front of him stood a figure, cloaked, hunched, and unmistakably a witch. Before he could react, she vanished, turning into a ball of fire that zipped across the room and slammed into the floor. Some say it was a spell to defend herself from the guy's loud prayers. He made it out safe, but by morning, the entire house had burned to the ground. Coincidence or curse? You decide. Forest Ritual.
Hello?
Two friends ventured into a haunted forest, hoping to catch something paranormal on camera, and they got more than they bargained for. After a while, they noticed faint lights flickering through the trees. As they crept closer, the camera picked up a shape moving around the candles. It looked like someone performing a ritual. But then they turned on their flashlights, and that's when things got real. It wasn't just one figure, but several, cloaked in black, suddenly alerted. The moment the light hit them, they started moving toward the pair. That's when the friends dropped everything and ran.
Hello?
Ritual room. These guys were out for a midnight exploration when they stumbled upon an abandoned building that looked straight out of a horror film. As they crept inside, one room stood out. The door was slightly open, and something was burning inside. Naturally, they had to check. Peeking in, they spotted 4 candles on the ground, surrounded by strange markings. And standing around them were 2 robed figures, motionless. It looked more like a summoning than a prank. The internet was split. Some said it was all staged, but others claimed they could feel the sinister energy through the screen. And honestly, it did feel like they had just walked into something they shouldn't have. Satanic activity. A local had been hearing whispers about strange noises coming from an abandoned house nearby. So one day, curiosity got the best of him. He walked in, and what he captured was downright chilling. Inside one of the rooms were 3 people, fully covered in robes and masks. Dozens of candles lit the space, but the center of the room was the worst part. A coffin-like box lay on the floor, surrounded by upside-down crosses and pentagrams drawn on the walls. It didn't take long to realize this wasn't just some edgy art project. Was it a satanic ritual? Or some cult meeting? Either way, his best bet was that whatever they were summoning didn't follow him home.
Meu Deus, são três.
Cave Witch.
عم خذها أنا مش سامعك.
This cave explorer was on a routine expedition when he heard something eerie, low, rhythmic chants echoing from a dark opening ahead. Curious, and maybe a little too brave, he went inside. What he found was enough to freeze anyone in their tracks. A strange black figure, barely human, crouched in one corner. Without thinking, the guy started throwing salt, convinced he was dealing with something evil. The creature flinched, but didn't vanish. When the footage hit the internet, people were sure of one thing. He'd interrupted a witch in the middle of her ritual. Deep inside a cave, no one else dared enter. Dark coordinates. Using an app known for leading users to eerie spots, two friends followed its directions into a dense forest in the dead of night. At first, it was just trees and shadows, but then things got weird. They spotted burning candles, a cross with a mask on it, a haunted-looking doll sitting beside an actual Ouija board. It looked like the remains of a ritual, but something told them it wasn't over. As they hid behind a bush, a figure appeared near the setup. It looked like a man, but there was something off. And when he spotted them, they knew it was time to leave. Let's just hope the app didn't take them somewhere even worse. Hilltop Ritual. What started off as a simple hike turned into something straight out of a horror movie. As this guy reached the top and pulled out his phone to record the view, he spotted something bizarre below. Three figures in white robes walking in circles around a pentagram, and in the middle, a man dressed in black, spinning slowly like he was summoning something. It looked like a ritual, a full-on cult ceremony unfolding right there in the wilderness. Not waiting to find out what they were calling upon, the hiker took off immediately. If anyone knows what kind of ritual this could be, drop it in the comments, because that was not a normal hike. Witchy Spell. A team of paranormal investigators visited one of the scariest places in Mexico, a location locals claimed was cursed and haunted. At first, things were oddly quiet, until they found a human-shaped doll wrapped in thread, surrounded by burning candles. Now, if that doesn't scream voodoo, I don't know what does. That's when they started hearing whispers, voices calling out to them by name. And then, a pale face appeared in the window, with a long, pointy nose, like a witch's. Terrified, they made a run for it. Some netizens had chilling theories, saying the witch knew they were coming, and had already started casting spells on them. Let's hope it didn't follow them back.
¡Ay, güey, no mames! ¡Ven, acércate!
Ritual at CERN. A mysterious activity recorded at one of the world's most renowned laboratories has sparked global concern over whether it was real or staged. At CERN's facility in Geneva, a disturbing event unfolded that some have described as a human sacrifice. The eerie video captured men in black cloaks assembling in a square, where a girl dressed in white was brought forward. She first kneeled and then lay down. While many dismissed the unsettling footage as a movie scene, others were convinced it was real and being covered up. Could CERN be a secret hub for such rituals? With no conclusive evidence, the truth remains uncertain. Forest disappearance. In the early 2000s, rangers searching for a missing hiker found an abandoned camera deep in the forest. Hoping for answers, they played the footage, and what they saw was chilling. The hiker was running, terrified. Someone in black robes was chasing him. Then more appeared, almost silently, like shadows, closing in fast. In a blur, the camera shaked, then dropped. The screen went black. It looked like he was dragged away, maybe for some dark ritual. Some think he left the camera behind as a clue, a desperate attempt to be found, but no one ever did. Witch and Beasts. An explorer hiking through the mountains stumbled on something straight out of a nightmare. Following eerie whispers, he found a witch sitting cross-legged on the ground, her face twisted and deformed. But behind her stood two horned beasts, motionless, like guardians. The air was thick, charged with something dark. Was this a demonic pact or a satanic ritual in costume? This was the last video he ever recorded. His camera was found. He wasn't. Witch on Wheels.
Va a volar, compa, comparta. Quiere volar, compa.
Authorities were tracking down a thief in the woods, but what they found was way creepier. A black-robed figure was sitting on top of an abandoned car, completely still. From the long cloak, it looked like a witch ready to launch off on a broom. But something wasn't right. She didn't move an inch, like her powers had failed her. Then the video cut. No one knows what happened after. Maybe her spells fell short, or maybe they were just beginning. Cross reaction. This guy was spending the night at a hospital to care for a relative, but what he saw made him reconsider everything. Across the room, a man stood before a cross, but something was off. His movements were unnatural, and he was letting out inhuman noises that echoed down the hallway. It didn't look like pain from illness, more like something was fighting inside him. Some say he was possessed, and the presence of the cross was either burning the entity or triggering its rage. Whatever it was, the guy decided it was not the right time or place to say his prayers. Basement ritual. This famous urban explorer wanted to prove his courage and picked the creepiest abandoned building to do it. Everything felt typical at first. Dusty rooms, eerie silence. Until he headed down to the basement. There, in a dim room, was a woman crouched on the floor, surrounded by burning candles, clearly in the middle of a ritual. As he quietly filmed from the doorway, she suddenly turned her head toward him, revealing a bone-white face. It looked like a mask, one designed for something not so friendly. The guy bolted, and the figure chased after him, straight up the stairs. No word yet if he made it out cursed or just traumatized. Trial ritual.
¿Qué están haciendo? Hola!
Do you believe in witches and those who hunt them? Well, this guy claimed to have filmed both at the same time. According to him, the figure cloaked in white was a witch, and the two robed ones beside her were the hunters who had caught her red-handed. They led her a few steps forward, then laid her down on the ground like part of a ritual. As the man zoomed in, the one dressed in red began moving their hands, almost like they were casting a spell, not to summon something, but to strip the witch of her powers. It felt less like a punishment, and more like a battle of magic.
¿Qué le van a hacer?
Pilgrimage. Dressed in unusual white robes, doing bizarre gestures, this group seemed to be performing a ritual, with children involved. A guy captured this eerie scene while out on a hiking trip. The group looked a bit chaotic together, and they sure weren't trying to hide whatever spooky business they were up to. Internet folks were left stumped as to what exactly they were doing. However, some speculated the group was praying for the kids, while others had sinister thoughts of a ritualistic sacrifice. Let me know what you guys think of this one. Forest cult. A group of friends were driving home late at night when they decided to take a shortcut through the woods. Big mistake. As they rolled down the narrow road, they saw figures standing on either side, completely still, dressed in red robes and white masks. What made it worse was they didn't even flinch, like they were expecting them. Curious, and maybe a little too brave. The friends parked at a distance and came back on foot. That's when they saw a fire burning in the clearing, and the robed figures chanting in a circle around it. Whatever it wasn't meant for outsiders. And the friends quickly realized they might have just become uninvited guests to a cult ritual. Floating.
哎，屋里边还是有那东西，看着没？
This guy was out for a night walk when he noticed a flickering light coming from an abandoned house nearby. Curious, he got closer and saw candles burning inside, but no one was around until he heard a sound behind him. Turning around, he spotted a woman in the distance, but then something unreal happened. She began to float. Yes, levitate, slowly rising off the ground. That's when the guy bolted. People online were convinced he had accidentally walked in on a witch's ritual. Others think the levitation was staged. But either way, you won't catch me peeking into abandoned houses after dark.
Yo. 哎，我的妈！
Witch's Ritual. Back in 2019, a group of daring friends decided to camp in an allegedly haunted forest, famous for witch trials and cult practices. The camping was going just fine until after dark. Hearing a bizarre sound, they went to investigate and came across sinister objects that looked like they could be remnants of a witch's ritual. They reported an odd atmosphere, saying there was a sudden drop in the temperatures, with the branches moving strangely, and then they saw this. A tall figure dressed in a dark cloak standing in the distance, and the next moment, it was gone, nowhere to be seen. The guys were so freaked out, they left right then and there. Seems like they learnt their lesson. Witch's Hideout. Locals had been hearing strange disturbance from the woods for weeks. So one night, a group of curious friends decided to investigate. They stumbled upon what looked like an open grave, partially covered with cloth. But as they pulled it aside, things got creepy fast. Inside was a hooded figure, crouched in complete stillness. It wasn't a grave at all, more like an underground shelter. In front of the figure were burning candles and a small bowl filled with who knows what. The robe, the setup, the silence, everything screamed ritual. Netizens were quick to say this wasn't just some camper. They believed the group had interrupted a witch right in the middle of spell work. Live Satanic Ritual. On August 20th, 2021, something strange happened during a live news broadcast on ABC News Australia. The segment was supposed to be about new laws to protect police dogs in Queensland, but suddenly, a bizarre clip interrupted the program. Viewers saw 3 figures on stage, including one in a black hooded robe, standing in front of an altar with an upside-down burning cross. This unexpected scene left people wondering, was it a hack or did it air on purpose? The mystery remains unsolved. Candle Room. Visiting abandoned places at night rarely ends well, and this group found out the hard way. They were exploring an old crumbling house when they spotted something strange down the corridor. A dimly lit room filled with candles. In the center stood a robed figure, slowly circling, like it was performing a ritual. But the moment it noticed them, it bolted straight toward the group. Panic set in as they turned and ran, convinced they'd just interrupted something sinister. Some said it was a spirit deep in a ritual. Others believed it was someone dabbling in dark magic. Faceless Watchers. Driving down a deserted road, a driver had the most bizarre encounter. He stopped his car as a man in a suit stood in front of his car. When he saw the approaching vehicle, he quickly turned around and dashed. But that wasn't all. Another man in the same outfit appeared, followed by an entire group of similarly dressed men, all frantically searching for an escape route. The strangest part was that none of them seemed to have any facial features. Behind them, something was on fire. Were they fleeing from a crime scene, performing a creepy ritual, or involved in some other illegal activity? What do you think of these faceless men in suits? Uninvited Spirit.
Baby. Baby blue. Blue baby.
This woman was performing a fertility ritual, hoping for blessings and good fortune. But something else showed up. Mid-chant, a ghostly figure peeked out from behind the wall, just stood there, watching. She froze, visibly uneasy, and then it vanished. But before she could gather herself, there it was again, right behind her. Maybe she wasn't the only one partaking in that ritual. Maybe it was never hers to begin with. Levitating Man. A village had long suspected one man of practicing magic, and a few curious friends decided to follow him into the woods one evening. What they caught on camera shocked them. The man stood still, muttered something under his breath, and then began to levitate. With his hands raised upward, he hovered inches above the ground, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Skeptics online called it a trick of perspective, maybe some clever wires, but the villagers were sure they'd just uncovered his long-kept secret. Sacred waters. During a quiet baptism ceremony, something remarkable was caught on camera. As the chanting began, the still water suddenly started rippling and swirling on its own, almost like someone was bending it. The moment felt charged, like something unseen had entered the space. Many present believed it was the Holy Spirit resting on the water, a divine sign that left everyone in awe. Of course, skeptics blamed the wind. But for the faithful, no explanation was needed. The video only deepened their belief and reminded them that some moments just feel touched by something higher. Gorilla Ritual. Now, this African ritual is sure to send chills down your spine. At first glance, it looked like a man just lying on a deflated gorilla costume. But then, things took a bizarre turn. As he got up, the costume began inflating on its own. It swelled up like it was coming to life. A man in a black robe stood nearby, chanting something no one could understand. And then, the gorilla rose. It started galloping around the clearing as the crowd looked on, stunned. Was this some kind of sorcery, or just an elaborate trick with someone hidden inside? Let me know your take on this. Forest footage. Days after hearing whispers of a strange abandoned house deep in the woods, this vlogger packed his gear and hit record. At first, it seemed like your typical broken building. Creaky floors, broken windows, eerie silence, until he froze. In the middle of the room were signs of a ritual, symbols on the ground, burnt wax. And here's the thing, the house has had no electricity for years. It was gutted by fire in 2015. Only the basement and first floor remain. Locals swear it's cursed. So if you ever stumble upon something like this, don't touch or question anything and leave right away. Some doors are better left closed. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again.